hitch a ride to Helena's kitchen, your Swedish guide to food with style. From a home-cooked meal for two to a five-course feast.
Hi, welcome to Helena's kitchen. Today we're gonna make a lasagna, and this lasagna is gonna be with ground beef, poblano peppers, tomato sauce, and ricotta cheese. And I'm gonna go through step by step with you how to do this. So first we're gonna start with the actual lasagna sheets. These ones are gonna go into a pot of boiling water. We're gonna soften them up. I'm putting in one by one a little bit of salt, and I try to cross them in the pot so they don't stick together too much. These peppers are now getting roasted. You can see the result when I turn it over. So while our pasta is cooking and I'm finishing up the last of the peppers, I'm also heating up a pan because now it's time to cook the ground beef. And with the ground beef I'm going to have some onion to make a little extra flavor. And this is half an onion, and it's about a pound of ground beef that I'm using. So the onions are a little bit shiny right now, so I'm going to start putting in the ground beef. And I'm pulling it apart a little bit, so I don't want to put the whole thing in at once, because then it's going to be cooked on the outside. I want to cook everything properly. You don't want to put your arms on the hot pan, that's for sure. So here is our ground beef with onion. And now we're going to add the tomato, and we're also going to add some garlic into the mix. I like my garlic a little rough, but if you prefer it finer, you can always use a grater and grate it in.
Helena's kitchen, Helena, she's on a culinary mission. Helena's kitchen.
The tomato. I'm using 1 tablespoon of herbes de Provence, which is a very nice herbal mix that you can buy in any store. And of course, a little fresh ground white pepper, maybe about half a teaspoon. And you want to do this on pretty high heat so the beef cooks properly. So our pasta has now softened up a little bit, you see. So what we're going to do before it gets too soft, you still want to keep it a little bit stiff. We're going to drain off the water. So now, just so I can keep these nice before I start making my lasagna, I'm going to put them in a pan. They're really hot. You can always use a tongue if it's too hot for your fingers. They're warmer when you come down to the bottom. So now we're coming to make the white sauce, which is a very important ingredient because you want your lasagna to be really creamy and juicy inside. So the tomato is not just it. You want to have a white sauce, which would be called a bechamel. And the base of a bechamel is butter, flour, milk, and then we're going to spice it up with a little bit of nutmeg, salt, and white pepper. So first I put the butter in, 2 tablespoons to melt. You don't want to brown it, you just want to melt. So the butter has melted, and what I'm going to do now is to add an equal part with flour. So that's 2 tablespoons of flour into the butter, taking my whisk. And you want to do this off the heat. What's going to happen when we incorporate milk into this and we start heating it up is that it's thicken up. I'm putting it back on the heat, pouring milk in, and I'm not pouring all the milk in at once. I'm adding a little by little. When it starts thickening up, I'm starting to add a little bit more milk into it. But you need to bring it to a boil, because if you don't bring it to a boil, you're going to have a flour taste on your gravy, and you don't want that. I'm also going to add spices. I'm adding 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. About half a teaspoon of salt. And about half a teaspoon of white pepper. It's very, very important while making this gravy, or the white sauce, the bechamel, is that you stir constantly through the whole process, because otherwise your flour is going to get stuck to the bottom and it's going to burn. Our tomato sauce is ready, or tomato ground beef sauce. And another very important part when you're making all kinds of sauces and you're putting spices in, that you always, of course, want to taste to see if you need any more flavors in there. But this is good. So here we have our cheeses, and this is ricotta, about a cup, and this is about 1/4 pound of mozzarella cheese. And this one I'm going to grate, and that's going to be our topping for the lasagna. And of course you can always buy it already grated if you prefer. We have our poblanos ready, and these are pretty just browned. I got a little bit of black on a couple of them, so the black parts I normally peel away. This time you also want to see so your oven is on. I put it up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, and because when you're cooking the lasagna and all the ingredients are already cooked, it's a pretty quick process, but you still want it to be hot so you brown the top. So it's time to assemble our lasagna. First I'm going to spray the bowl. And then we're going to put the lasagna sheets in the bottom. So what I do then is that I cut them apart so they fit in the bottom. You don't want to have them folded or twisted. You want to try to have them flat. And the small pieces you can use in the corners, or you can assemble them together to smaller pieces. I'm going to put our first layer, and I'm going to start with the ground beef and tomato. And you want to spread it out to cover most of the pasta, like that. And then we're going to put the next layer. Okay, so then the next step is going to be to put the cheese. So I'm going to put the ricotta cheese, and I split it out, and then I take chilies, sprinkle over, and then on top of that I'm going to put a little bit of the white sauce. And the last layer you want to try to look, of course, as nice as possible. And you want to try to push it down so it flattens out. I'm putting the cheese on. And that's the mozzarella cheese. And ending with the rest of the sauce. And during the time you're baking this lasagna, if you see that it starts browning too much on the top, just take a piece of aluminium foil and cover the pan with, because you want it to be brown but not too dark and not too crisp. So time to put our lasagna into the oven. We're going to let it sit and rest, and then we're going to do a nice little plating and show you what it looks like. So I hope you have enjoyed today's Helena's Kitchen, and we hope to see you back soon again. And enjoy your lasagna and invite over your friends. Thank you.